Okay, I need a motion on the floor to amend the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Vice President Bowman, moved by Treasurer Shaquana Davis Smith. The motion to amend the agenda is to add under discussion under the information from the Superintendent Administration to add for discussion and action item bus EV chargers, and the presenter will be Mr. Bill Holcomb. Questions, comments, concerns to that amendment? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
To the amendment, Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
VP Bowman.
Yes.
Sir, that amendment passed 7-0.
Okay, and just for the sake of your agenda, that will be item C
Yes.
under your agenda. Okay. I need a motion on the floor to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Trustee Hannah,
Support.
supported by Trustee Vice President Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
Vice President Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Sir, the agenda approved 7-0.
All right, thank you. We're going to move down to awards and recognition. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you, Board President, all trustees, and the community. We are excited to announce once again our wonderful champions that continuously bring us the gold, as well as has been on a journey for over 7 years now, bringing gold medals back to the Pontiac School District, representing basketball to a different level. And so during this time, I would like to recognize our state champions and share their accomplishments. We call them Team Pontiac. And they have brought to the Pontiac School District 7 state championships in 9 years. Two silver medals from the U.S. Games in 2018 and 2022. We were on national TV, our students representing at the Special Olympics. And I just want to say we looked wonderful. We teamed up with former Piston player Drummond, and he donated uniforms, bags. And so we still commend and thank him for all of his support. We currently have had 5 consecutive state championships, 14-0 in the state playoffs. So these accomplishments must be recognized on a different level this time. We always want to commend you and thank you, but this time we want to do something very special, not only for the team, but also for the coaches. Thank you, Coach Tony Pittman. And I have certificates of honor for you all. Fred McFadden. And Larry Redmond, retiree, but he is still coming back and supporting the Pontiac School District. At this time, certificate of distinction, and President Garrett, can you please join me, please?
Sure, no problem.
This certificate is proudly presented to Fred McFadden and the entire PSD Special Olympics basketball team in recognition of their amazing performance in the Special Olympics basketball championship. The team won both of their games to become state champions. Keep up the great work, and thank you for representing the Pontiac School District. If you could please come and receive. No, that's just on TV. Next, we have Coach Larry Redmond. His certificate reads the same. If you could please come up. And last but not least, Coach Tony Pittman, if you could please come up. Thank you all so much for your time, dedication, and support over many years to our special team. Now we want to recognize our superstars. And you are truly superstars for the Pontiac School District. I commend you because you are very close to my heart, because your first championship as I served as the superintendent was dedicated to my son, Trey. And I thank you, coaches, for doing that. Mr. McFadden, the team during that time, it was very special to my husband and I that you dedicated that championship. So in honor of Trey, keep doing it. Thank you so much for all your hard work, and we want to personally recognize you individually. And I will read the first one. Certificate of Distinction. This certificate is proudly presented to Premier Collazo and the entire PSD Special Olympics basketball team. In recognition of their amazing performance in the Special Olympics basketball championship, the team won both of their games to become state champions. Keep up the great work. If you could please come and receive your certificate and a token of our appreciation. They get a bag too. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Marquise Eason, if he's not here. Okay. All right, we'll get that to you. Deontay Giles. Thank you, Deontay. Andrew Howell. Thank you. Anthony Jasper.
Please tell me he's coming back next year.
Nathaniel Perkins. Thank you. Oh, Nathaniel, okay. Warren Ramsey. All right. Thank you. Congratulations, and keep representing the Pontiac School District.
Are there any comments from the board?
I got one. I want to be the first.
Trustee Kraft?
You know what you guys have done? You done something that has never been done here in the city of Pontiac. You won 7 straight championships.
That's right.
And we can talk about Pontiac Northern, Pontiac Central, and all their championships that they won or hard work, but you guys have won more than them, and you have the biggest accomplishment here, and I applaud you, and I'm so proud of you, because I remember the championship in 2017 and the exhibition you put on in front of the city, and I congratulate you.
Woo.
Trustee Davis Smith?
I just want to congratulate all you guys for all your hard work, and thanks a lot for bringing the gold back home.
Thank you.
I'm
Trustee
proud
Gross?
of you. I'm very proud of you. But we want you guys to beat the Celtics and get us 12. No, I'm very happy, and keep doing what you're doing. It's my man. My man. Stay with us, baby. Keep doing what you're doing. And I know it takes a lot. And Tony and I talk all the time, and he lets me know what's going on. And this district has been supporting him. And I want us to continue to do so, because we see what we do. We raise champions. And I only have one question. Only one. What school district?
Pontiac.
What school district?
Pontiac.
One more time.
Pontiac.
Thank you.
I just want to say as always, I'm so proud to be from Pontiac, and thank you all for representing us well, because Pontiac, we out here, and you all are just fine examples of what Pontiac breeds. Pontiac breeds good stock. So thank you all so much for being great representations of this community.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we would like to recognize 2 staff members. The board charged a tall order this year that we begin to recognize successes of our students as well as our staff. We must tell our story, and we must celebrate the accomplishments through all of the journeys and challenges that we have seen over the years. And with that being said, there are individuals that go above and beyond on a daily basis that sometimes no one ever hears from, or never would be known of doing these above and beyond duties that may not be listed in their job description. And today we want to recognize with great appreciation, the Pontiac School District honors Heidi Hedquist for her willingness to go above and beyond for our district on a daily basis. She spends countless early mornings and several hours every day in contact with the transportation company in order to update our families and make sure our students are taken care of. We can't thank her enough for all the extra effort and time she puts towards making sure our students and families are getting what they need. Heidi is up along with the next person that we are going to recognize at 4:00 a.m. regularly, making calls to our parents, responding to our parents to ensure that they get to school. And we've had many challenges over many months with our transportation. So we thank you and we celebrate you today. Please come and receive your plaque. And right, she normally does this for everyone else. We would be remiss without celebrating Tanya Dixon for the same exact responsibilities every single day. And she has children of her own that she tends to. And we know the challenges that we have endured this school year with transportation. And it's not just Pontiac School District, but we have several individuals that are up early in the morning, whether it's preparing our buildings, preparing for transportation to receive our students, just getting our day done when the rest of us are normally asleep. And so, Tanya, your plaque reads the same. Thank you for going above and beyond.
So green.
Hail to the victor.
Any comments from the board?
Wow.
Going, okay.
I will.
Trustee Hannah.
Thank you. Heidi and Tanya, we really appreciate the work you do. We really do appreciate you going above and beyond. So thank you again.
What's one thing? You know I appreciate the two of you. And you were there from the beginning. And I know what you do personally. And I thank you personally from everyone for what you have done and continue to do. Thank you. Yeah, you mean a lot. Thank you.
Okay. Vice President.
Ladies, thank you so much. Heidi, you already know. Miss Tanya, thank you so much. We know it's not easy getting up and dealing with some of the things that you all have to deal with, but thank you so much for sticking with us, both of you, and just being part of this Pontiac family. You can be anywhere in the world, but you choose to be here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Kraft.
Hey, Soup, they're doing their job, because I got two little ones in the school district, and I get those texts early in the morning. I'm like, who is this? but yeah, thank you for all you do, and yeah, I hope to continue working with you guys.
All right. Thank you, sir. Trustee David Smith.
Hi, I just wanted to thank you ladies again for all that you do. I really appreciate you guys. I mean, you go beyond the call of duty, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for being able to pivot, and thank you for taking it as personal as you take it. A lot of times in this work, we always say, I often hear in other businesses, they say, don't take it personal. Well, when you're dealing with the lives of kids, it's hard not to take it personal. So thank you for taking it personal. Thank you for over the last 3 years trying to figure it out. Every curveball that came your way, just standing tall in that. I'll be the first to say I'm often confused sometimes about transportation, and I don't see why it's so hard to just pick up kids, right? But people, the jobs that you have to do, despite of, because you hear those first comments and you hear what happens in the community firsthand from them conversations that come across that phone. So Superintendent, thank you for allowing them to have that flexibility to pivot. Thank you for pivoting and staying true to who we are in this customer service base in this organization that we call Pontiac School District. Thank you so much. To the champions, again, I was serious about putting a consistent chair there. Like, I'm serious. Like, just when around the same time, just throw your name tag, just right in them chairs, because that's where it needs to be. Thank you for representing us both in the classroom and out of state, and just what you guys do year in and year out. It's not easy repeating. Because there's always new faces coming for your title. There's always distractions. And anybody knows anything about championships and winning, there's always somebody trying to nip at your ankles. But you consistently you pass that buck down. I see different faces, times on the teams, but you keep hold to the pattern. And that's because of your coaches. And it's a perfect example of when you have a solid coaching staff, no matter what the sport is, what the kids can do and how they'll match to what is being laid down. So you're a perfect example of what we need to do in the rest of our other athletic programs, is that consistency. And then they'll see the same championships and the same glory that you do. So enjoy it for a year, because I know probably this summertime y'all gonna be on that new track. I know your 3 coaches, so you got a short-lived championship run. So I appreciate you for that. So we're gonna move down now to recognition of. No, what we're going to do is we're going to take Mr. Frank a 5-minute, as we often, because they've been in school all day, and they've kind of came here to help us. As we award them, we're going to take a 5-minute recess at this particular point in time so we can get our students back up so they can get to school, okay, in the morning on time. All right, 5 minutes.
Take pictures. Come take pictures.
We good, Frank?
I'm talking about the kids. I'm just asking.
Who? They said it was. Okay, we're good. Huh? We got two? Okay. We got a few minutes. All right. Thank you. Welcome back. It is always an awesome time where we can celebrate our children and we can celebrate our administration and staff during that particular time of the meeting. So thank you for being patient with us. For those who are at home watching via Facebook, don't forget to like, follow, and share this page to get more information about the Pontiac School District and referencing knowing the times when our meetings will be held. Superintendent. Okay. I'm going to move down to recognition of elected officials in the audience. Any elected officials? Okay. Seeing none in the audience, but I do see 6 trustees. Trustees, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How y'all doing today? Everybody have a good Easter?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Everybody looks like that extra meal kicked in. I see you. I know mine's did. Oh, don't act like y'all didn't have that extra piece of cake. Don't do that to me today. So we're gonna move down to consent agenda. Need a motion on the floor.
So move.
So moved by
Support.
Trustee Bowman, supported by Trustee Terry. Questions? No questions. Consent agenda. Roll call, please.
President Garrett,
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah,
Yes.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
VP Bowman,
Yes.
Trustee Kraft,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
Sir, that approval of the consent agenda 7-0.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to move down to information from the Superintendent and Administration, reports, Troon Law Firm presentation, social media, and vapes. Turn the meeting over to the Superintendent.
Thank you. At this time, I will defer to Attorney Seegers.
Yes, good evening. Today, you all will be getting a presentation from a law firm known as the France Law Group. They're based out of San Diego, California. They were introduced to us by the Troon Law Firm. We are one of the retainer clients of the Troon Law Firm. And the Troon Law Firm is coordinating the efforts of this law firm, the France Law Group out of California, on two pieces of significant class action litigation. One of those pieces deals with the vaping epidemic, and the other deals with the social media epidemic, so to speak, and the interruption social media is having on the educational process throughout the country. As it relates to the vaping epidemic specifically, this law firm, the France Law Group, represents approximately 130 Michigan school districts in this class action litigation, along with thousands of other school
Is your mic
districts.
on? I'm sorry. Is your mic on? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, I could be a little louder.
Okay.
They are representing 130 school districts from the state of Michigan, as well as thousands of other school districts from across the country. As it relates to the social media litigation, they are representing at present 3 school districts in Michigan. The deadline to join the social media litigation does not expire until later this year. So we anticipate probably seeing the same types of numbers as there are with the vaping litigation. Today here to present is William Shinoff from the France Law Group, and also is Peter Matuziak from the Troon Law Firm here in Lansing, Michigan, who introduced us to Mr. Shinoff. I don't know who will be speaking first, but good evening, gentlemen.
Can you hear us?
I don't think he hears us.
Can you hear us? No. Is your volume up? Okay, we can hear you.
We hear you now. Can you hear us?
This is William. I'm on.
William, can you hear us?
Hey, William, I think we're just trying to get the audio in the boardroom to work. Okay.
Well, we hear you. We hear both of you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, it's something on there. Yeah, out and works.
Can you hear us now? Hello? No?
We just had it going for 10 minutes.
Can you hear us now? William? Peter?
I still can't hear anything, but looks like you guys can hear me potentially.
We hear you very well. We hear you very well.
Can you hear anything, William? I can't hear anything now. I can hear you. Okay.
They can hear each other, but not us.
So just put
Tell
it in
them
the
to
chat.
proceed.
Okay, so
Can you type in proceed on the chat?
yeah, tell William just proceed and let him know he has like 5 or 10 minutes. I told him that already, though.
So even though we can't hear anything, would you like us to get started and perhaps
Yes.
we can get that wrapped up? Okay, all right. So I'm Peter from True Law Firm. I've got William Shinoff with me. He's from the Grants Law Group. And we were asked to talk about the ongoing nationwide vaping litigation as well as the nationwide social media litigation that just got initiated recently. With the vaping litigation, that deadline is upcoming to join. It's April 20th, I believe. Is that still correct, William? To join the vaping litigation?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
So that deadline is fast approaching. We have 100, I believe, 13 Michigan school districts that joined through our firm that are eligible for the settlement proceeds from the Juul settlement in that vaping litigation. We have, I believe, 17 other schools that signed up after the Juul settlement. Those schools aren't eligible for the Juul settlement proceeds, but they're eligible for any future settlement that comes in the vaping litigation, just as your school would be eligible for those future settlement proceeds if it decides to join that vaping litigation. The social media litigation, I'm going to kick it over to William to provide more details on both the vaping litigation and the social media litigation, just because our firm is referring clients over to them. France would be the firm that actually represents your school in both litigations. They approached us and asked us to gauge which schools would be interested in joining and to facilitate contact with them. So, William, do you want to provide a brief summary of each litigation, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah. So let me touch on the social media litigation first. So the social media litigation is focused on a couple defendants. So we have Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube. And what this case is based on is these companies intentionally addicting children to their platforms to be profitable. And they're putting profit over the health and safety of our children, because not only is the whole business model based off of addicting the youth to be on the platform as much as possible, but also the issue is the fact that their algorithms send very divisive and harmful content to children. And so what we're trying to do in this litigation is get them to change their conduct. We want them to put filters in place on the content that's going to children. We want parental restrictions to be put in place. And age verification. And the way we as lawyers can do that is through what's called injunctive relief, which is a court order requiring us to do so. In addition to the injunctive relief, we're looking to obtain for our district clients funding for further mental health counselors, and also funding for educational programs. And so that litigation is just beginning, and we're filing cases in that as this week, just starting. But we're a little over 200 districts already going to be representing in that case, and we imagine it to be much larger than the vaping litigation, in which we represented almost 1,000 school districts. Just to touch on the vaping litigation, that litigation was focused on Juul and Altria's conduct of intentionally marketing to children and failing to warn about the harms in what we now call the youth vaping epidemic. So that's the two cases. I wanted to keep it short, but I'm not sure if we can hear any questions that you may have.
I don't believe we can still hear anything, but I will mention that the deadline to join the social media litigation is the end of this year, so there's more time to join that one. And some common questions we get from schools, at least for the vaping litigation, is how much have schools gotten from Juul? I can't mention specifics, but the minimum amount that a Michigan school received was a little over $8,000. There are some Michigan schools that did receive 6 digits though. So there's a wide range there. And the court divvied up the settlement pot based on school district size. So the larger schools got more. That may be the way it's going to be with the social media piece, but we're not sure at this stage, unless William has any more insight on that.
No, that sounds right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure, Daryl, if you want to email us any questions that board members have or how you want to proceed, but we still can't hear anything from the room.
That's what I would suggest, is that since they can't hear us, if you all want to discuss it during the next board governance or pose any questions to Daryl, and then he can get those answered for you all.
Okay. We talked about it in length
Okay.
at board governance. So thanks for the presentation. It adds a little bit more light. And then I'll have once I've talked to the trustees and we can have, well, I kind of know where they were leaning as well. So we'll follow up with you on Wednesday. I think it's our Wednesday meeting as relates to that. So on which direction we want to go in as a board.
Okay. Thank you. Can they see Daryl, or you want to? Okay.
Yep. Give him a thumbs up.
Thank you.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna reserve my comment to last when you start talking about tech companies. We're gonna move down to local assessment updates. Presenter will be Dr. Kimberly Leverett, Superintendent.
Thank you. We provide this information to our community as well as our board trustees 3 times out of the school year. This is our local assessment report. We're excited about presenting our data. We have been very transparent with this information as we began to discuss next steps and things that we have put in place to close the achievement gap in reading, math, as well as our attendance, as well as the climate and culture in the Pontiac School District. At this time, the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Dr. Kimberly Leverett, will provide information and introduce her curriculum team.
All right. Good evening, everyone. To President Garrett, Superintendent Williams, trustees and members of the community. Again, my name is Dr. Kimberly Leverett, and I thank you for this opportunity to bring my team forth and talk about our data and what we have been doing to put in place to ensure our students' success. And I am really excited because, yes, this is a presentation, but we have a plan, we have a purpose, and we are taking it personally. So you will see throughout the presentation, you'll see data as it relates to iReady, reading and math. You will see data as it relates to student academics and attendance. And you will also see the multi-tiered system of support that we have here in Pontiac School District, where the expectation is for 80 to 90% of our students to be in that tier 1 instruction, along with tier 2 and tier 3, of course, but the majority of where we want our students to be is in tier 1 instruction. And we are really excited because our data is indicating some growth and movement in the right direction. So the background rationale, the purpose of assessment is to provide a full picture of student growth with targets to help students on a path towards grade level proficiency or advanced proficiency while monitoring attendance and behavior within the MTSS framework as part of a systemic approach to the whole child. Assessment also informs teaching and learning through deep insight into student strengths and areas of targeted instruction. And at this time, I will turn it over to Jennifer Dean.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
We've been doing some celebrating tonight, and we're not going to let it stop. We're going to continue it with our data this evening. So we are starting here with our iReady reading data, looking at by grade level. We'll start off here just by looking at overall as a district. We started with 8% being at or above grade level in the fall, and we're up to 17% being at or above grade level in the winter. And as we look down the grade levels, that trend continues. Same trend that we see if we look at it by school level, each school level with their fall data being lower, their winter data being higher, and seeing those increases.
Excuse me, hold on one second. So do you want us to hold the questions to the end of the presentation, or do you want to start going into a discussion now?
If we can go through the data piece first, and then we'll
Okay.
pause, and then as we go into the attendance piece,
Okay,
so we'll do academics, attendance, and then climate and culture.
gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
So here we're looking at, based on our iReady data, our students that are in tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 being the students that are at or above grade level, tier 2 being students that are 1 year below grade level, and tier 3 being 2 or more. In the fall, we had 58% in that tier 3, and we moved that down to 49%, moving more of those students into tier 2 and tier 1, indicating that the work that we're doing in our reading instruction intervention is effective. And then looking at the Pontiac High School, or the upper grades, we have grades 9 through 12. When we look at this overall information here, we're actually looking at just NWA, which is taken by grades 10 and 12. Grade 9, we moved to iReady, and grade 11, we moved to College Spring. And we see some encouraging increases with that, with, iReady, once they've taken their assessment, they have their online instruction. And same with College Spring, they take their fall assessment. They have coaches coming in to help them with looking at student data and what interventions need to take place for those students. And we're seeing encouraging increases in those areas as well.
If we want to stop here before we go into the math and see if any trustees have any questions for reading. That was the reading data for K-12.
Okay. Trustee Gross.
I'm sorry. I know that the state approved the concerns about third grade reading, and I see the humongous increase in our third grade. Going back to the previous screens, yes. So I was one who had some concerns from the previous information we showed, because a lot of the data included our COVID years.
Correct.
And do y'all remember when I said, give
Yes.
us a chance in the classroom?
Yes.
All right. I fought and was angrily speaking on that, but now we see the difference, and it's getting better
Yes.
because we are with our kids now, committed daily now in the classroom. And I just want to say that.
Yeah. And I mean, the data is going to speak the full picture of the areas of gaps.
Yep.
If you look at our trend data before COVID, we were just right there with our benchmarks, meeting
Yep.
our benchmarks, as well as our partnership schools, which allowed 2 of our schools to come off of the partnership list. So we do have a lot to celebrate. We are not where we want to be, but we definitely have a blueprint of how to move the needle. We just need the time, continued resources, and the staff in place. And we'll talk about the challenges around our retention of staff. We need our certified teachers. We want them to come join us. We have addressed our salaries. And so the more that we can get those certified teachers in front of our students, the more we'll be able to see that needle being moved.
Okay. Question. In a tier 3, which is that, K through 12? When you say
iReady is K through 9.
K through 9.
So those, are you talking about the charts that
Yeah,
I
you said
showed,
tier
tier
1,
1, 2,
tier
and
2,
3?
tier 3. So
The ones that, yes,
Yeah,
that's
that
one that I just presented on. That's specifically around iReady, which is grades K through 9.
okay. Okay. So, and I know we have our fall. No, this is our spring retreat coming up, right? So that tier 3, can we break those down by K through 9 individually? That 49%.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and we'll do that during that time. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about it, but it just kind of gives me a little bit more of, what of our elementary schools, schools are doing, what of our middle schools, and then it's going to help me when we start talking about culture and climate
Correct.
and teacher retention, where we need to start emphasizing recruitment and whether it's special needs or is it just, what is it exactly? So, okay, thank you.
Okay, moving into math, we see some of the same trends. We started with 3% proficient overall for the district at the beginning of the year, and now at the middle point of the year, we're at 12%. Looking at each grade level going across, we see those steady increases as well. And with the school level, we also see those same increases. And then going back to our 10th through 12th grade. So again, these overall columns here are really only representing the NWA 10th and 12th grade, but looking at our iReady with 9th grade, we see 10% to 13%. So again, they have that online instruction. We have coaches that come in and help to analyze that data after instruction to help them prepare for instruction. After assessment to help prepare for instruction. And then the same with College Spring. We went from 5% to 13%. And we have that same process in place. The coaches come in, work with the teachers. There's specific lessons that help towards getting the students ready for that college spring assessment, which is really preparing for that SAT assessment. And then the iReady MTSS math tiers, that's again grades K through 9. So we see that decrease from 61 to 49% and moving up to that tier 1, 3 to 12%. So students moving along, closing up the grade level gaps. We also wanted to talk about some partnership school updates. We have been working on developing our partnership agreement. We've been doing that with the Michigan Department of Education, the Office of Partnership Districts, and Oakland Schools Research and Evaluation Department has helped us as well. So we've made sure that the goals that we're coming up with are rigorous and attainable at the same time to move our student achievement. So for Harrington Elementary, we're looking at M-STEP proficiency. In the spring of 22, our baseline for math was 5.8. Our 3-year target is to move that to 8.8. And for reading, the target was the baseline is 5.1. Our target is to move that to 9.1. We also had to have growth goals. So we look at iReady and the students meeting their growth goals from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So the baseline for math was 42% with a target of increasing to 47%. Reading was 45% with a target of increasing to 50%. And then we also had to include process goals. So these are more like adult actions things that we are going to put in place as a district to help the students achieve those proficiency and growth goals. So for Harrington Elementary, we're looking at all pre-K through 5 classrooms being provided with 150 diverse texts for their classroom libraries. That's for the end of the 2024 school year. And then by the end of the 2025 school year, each classroom pre-K through 5 will have 300 diverse texts. And then moving into Pontiac High School, for the SAT proficiency goals, our spring baseline for math was 2.7. The target is to increase it to 5.7. And the reading is 16.7% of students proficient, and the target is to increase it to 19.7%. We also have to create the growth goal for Pontiac High School using NWA. So we have, in the spring of 22, 51% of students met their growth goals for both math and reading. So the increase is to, by the 36-month target, spring of 2025, increase both of those to 56% of students meeting their growth goals.
And these targets were not just pulled out of the air. These are the targets that a formula from the research department in Michigan Ed is stating that this will move us out of the partnership status. Now, we want to go above and beyond, but that's the formula to get us off of the list. And so our goal, of course, is to be higher than that. But in order for the Pontiac School District to get the high school off, there is a graduation rate that we must meet, and you'll see that, which is 70%, and we're currently at 60.48. So the formula is to get them off the list, but of course, our district goal is to go above and beyond that.
Okay.
And we're confident we will.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up because 3% in 3 years is like.
That's how close we were to get off the list.
Right.
Look at it from that standpoint.
And I guess for me, it's like, what does it look like for us? What our personal goals are? Because I understand the MDE formula, but our kids are smarter than that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know we don't always want to push past what the threshold that MDE gives us, because then they can get a little strange up there depending on who changes seats.
Correct.
In those political offices and sometimes in the day-to-day operations. But I'm with you. I mean, I'm confident in the fact of where we're at and how we're moving. And so I want us to, probably at the board retreat, we'll discuss and either, what is our realistic goal? Like, what are our goals?
And we'll include that in the presentation.
Because the 3 years.
And I can say we have had internal meetings where when we meet with principals, it's a 10% increase in 1 year.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So
So that's what I want you, because I don't want you to leave here and we put out that conversation about the whole 3 year, because 3 year, 3%. And you like, oh, well, you're not believing in our kids. You're not doing this. You're not doing that.
That's not yet.
But that's not the case.
Not.
And so we had people screaming that for so long. and we were passive aggressive, and we're no longer passive aggressive. So we are going to challenge our kids. They will meet the expectation, but I want us to put out what that challenge is. So parents, so everybody clearly hears that is, no, we don't expect your kid to grow 3% over 3 years. Then we're not doing it. We don't need to be teaching. We don't even need to be open if that's the growth. If that's our growth rate. Correct. But if it's the 10%, how did we get to the 10%? What based upon that data that we used, and why are we going to aggressively pursue the 10%, and why we no longer or we'll report out to MDE to 3% because that's what the formula that they give us.
And that's how close, and that I want to change the narrative of that is what our expectations are. That's not what our expectations are. That's how close we were to getting, not either being on the list or getting the high school off the list. They missed it because of COVID due to the graduation rates. And so, that is the goal for the partnership schools to get removed off. So we want to be very transparent to our community. That's what is required for them to get off of the list, which is a very small gap.
Yeah.
Our goals and expectations as a district is, of course, what Jennifer just stated, the 10% in 1 year. So we are aggressively putting things in place, resources, aggressively with our talent management, hiring certified teachers in those areas to ensure that they are being delivered the appropriate instruction. But I'm glad you lifted that. That is just for the partnership schools. That is not our district goal. That's how close we were to not having any of our schools on the partnership list. And 3 were removed this school year.
Yeah, they changed the game plan on you. Well, that's indeed.
Right. And hence,
yeah, hence
we have
where
our
we are.
partnership goals and we have our goals.
But thank you. So
Okay.
this
And
feels
then-
like a better conversation. Like it's not as I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. We would talk about this and stiff up so bad, everybody here had PTSD and be ready to go home crying and just be so just like not, we don't want to even put out what our expectations could be because if we don't meet the expectation, everybody's going to get removed or recalled or whatever they would come up with. But that's just that. I just thank you for this open conversation around our students who come here every day with that expectation. And we want to make sure that we express that we know what we're dealing with on all sides of our students. And if we had the advantages of other places, then we would do other things. But we chose to do this right here. So.
And we are
That's it.
showing evidence every day.
Yeah,
every
day.
week we're presenting students that have received full scholarships to university colleges, going off to trade schools, being hired at our local hospitals and different manufacturing businesses. So this is not the end of the story, just this data. It is the resilience that our students bring, as well as the supports that are coming out of our district for programming to make sure that they are successful citizens.
Awesome. Now I'm ready for the culture climb.
Okay. Well, before
I know we
that,
got one more.
you want to hear the great things that are happening in our
Okay.
literacy department. So Ms. Cheater will be coming up next to present that. I actually think I have one more slide. Yes, sorry, process goals. So just like we're going to include the diverse classroom text at the elementary level, we also have that plan for the high school level as well. And now, Ms. Cheater can tell you about the great things happening in the literacy department.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, President Garrett and Vice President Bowman and trustees and superintendent. So I'm here to share with you some great things that are happening in the literacy department. One thing that we did is on April 18th, all principals and coaches will be trained in family and community engagement. This training will happen in April as well as in May on how do we use family engagement to increase students' achievement in literacy. So we'll also establish a district literacy leadership team to look at literacy in a district and what we can do to improve literacy as well. Elementary uses Wit and Wisdom, so 6 out of the 7 school has been through the coaching process. We have one more school to go, but they've been through it already, so we just kind of giving them a refresher course through the coaching process. We have had phonics first training. We had our first group completed in March of 2023 and have another training scheduled for June of 2023 and additional sessions to be determined. The K-2 teachers were trained on small group instruction, and they were provided with tons of resources as well as a phonics and phonemic awareness kit to use during small group. And the schools have conducted book fairs to kind of build those take-home libraries for students to increase motivation and engagement. For the middle school, they also use Wit and Wisdom. The teachers are scheduled to have their implementation coaching cycles, as well as the principal is scheduled to have observation training, where we train principals in how to observe and what to look for when they go through their walkthroughs and focus walks. We had training on pedagogy and peer observations, trying to get teachers used to observing each other and giving each other feedback. And we're scheduling a book fair to have at the middle school as well. And the high school use My Perspective for their core ELA. They have been trained on the resource as well, and they're scheduled to have some coaching around that resource. They also participate in a training around pedagogical moves and peer observation. The African American History and Literacy course has been having coaching and implementation support on how to unpack these lessons. And then we have scheduled a book fair for them as well. For fine arts, they have been training on integrating literacy into music and art because we all are literacy teachers. In world language has been receiving some coaching support around their new resources, as well as training around assessing and providing feedbacks to students. And now I'm going to turn it over to Stacy Jackson to talk about math.
Okay. Any questions?
Real quick.
Gross?
Hi.
Hello.
Great report.
Thank you.
As it pertains to the cooperation and mood of the teachers during this training, how is it?
I have been getting lots of positive feedback and evaluations, and I'm excited about that. Teachers are excited about having the resources as well as lesson plans for small group instruction. As far as the pedagogical moves, they actually asked the presenter if he had a course and if they could take the course, but he doesn't have a course. So they're really excited about doing those and using those strategies in their classroom.
And I'm glad to hear that, because we all know how difficult it is to accept change.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something different, or something added on, not just different, but added on. And I'm glad to hear that, because I believe a happy teacher produces a happy child.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important, that we do that, and we see that, we feel that, and we believe that.
I would like to add as well, we gave them a little incentive. This is tied to their evaluation. They must go through the required professional developments that's tied to the curriculum and resources that we have launched over the last 2 years, because we did have some reservation with them signing up for the professional developments. And once we looked at the numbers and saw they were not signing up, we have attached that to be a part of their evaluation, as it being mandated to be completed by the end of the evaluation year.
But once doing it, they found it wasn't.
And once they got in there, they loved it. She showed us pictures and everything.
See, there's the apprehension is starting. Thank you. Good point. That was my point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
And they earn a certificate. So a lot of teachers are just happy to have their certificate. And we even had administrators that went through the training as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Ms. Jackson.
Madam VP.
As far as the book fair, are the books, are they at cost, or do the students get to pick books and it's free of charge? How does that book fair part work?
The students do not pay for the books. They get 5 free books to take home. Yeah. So we had United Way that sponsored the elementary schools, and we paid for the high school and middle school through a grant.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. You said in the middle school, the teachers are scheduled to have implementation coaching around wit and wisdom. When is that scheduled, for this fall? Is that some of their professional development for the summer? When is it actually going to take place?
We were hoping to have it this year, but because they're split into two buildings, it's
Okay.
difficult to have two different like coaches to come out. And then we would have to pay for separate buildings as well. And then the principal will have to do that coaching cycle with them. So whatever we do, we make sure that the principals are walking hand in hand and learning this process as well. And since they're split into two buildings, so we're still hoping to get it by the end of this year. So that's our goal, to have it by the end of this year.
Okay.
We're talking the summer. We need he's asking for a time frame.
No, it would have to happen before the summer because the teachers would have to be present.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we'll talk about that. And then the African American literature course, I know we're unpacking the lessons for that. When are we looking to have our first class, physical class for that?
So they had a class this year. So they went through and they had the process of having a class this year, and the coach was able to kind of work with the teacher. But we wanted to go back and kind of really unpack those lessons to make sure he really understands how to teach that program, and make it our own now, so that we are not just kind of using a pre-made program, but we're also using it for our kids. So we want to make sure that it's integrated with what our kids need.
Okay.
So we're going through doing some more deeper kind of work with it, the teacher as well as the social studies coach.
Okay.
So it's already implemented. They're now tweaking it to ensure that it's fitting, not a boilerplate, but fitting the needs of what we're expecting in the curriculum.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
And we'll follow up with the exact date of when the coaching for the middle school will take place. Dr.
Okay.
Leverett will give us that information.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So now I'm going to introduce Stacy Jackson to talk about math.
Mathematician.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to share some updates related to elementary mathematics, middle school mathematics, and high school mathematics. As we shared before, elementary teachers are still utilizing the Everyday Math resource for their core instruction. They are also utilizing the iReady personalized instruction, teacher toolkit lessons for intervention. The Everyday Mathematics program has components like the core lesson activities, the ELL support. These different components support students in the classroom and support teachers with students who may need differentiation. As I reported earlier this year, this is the first year we did some changing to the number of minutes that teachers are given to teach mathematics. It's also by recommendation of the resource that we increased the minutes. Teachers were struggling with pacing, and we want to make sure that they can hit all of the components. And so kindergarten is up to 60 minutes per day of mathematics, and grades 1 through 5 are up to 75 minutes for the core lessons. The K through 5 also have a time that's set aside just for intervention daily, and that's 35 minutes. We did receive really good feedback from principals as well as teachers during performance management meetings of the increase in time and their ability to complete the lessons. Our math core content specialists are our interventionists, sometimes we call them, that support students who need intensive support in mathematics. We have 3 of those in the district at Alki, Harrington, and Whitman. They continue to use the number wheels assessments and activities, but they've been going to training for math recovery at Oakland schools. And so they're learning how to use these forefront assessments and activities to go into a deeper dive and really pinpoint where students need support. Regularly, we take a look at the data to decide with our interventionists what grades they're going to focus on. And so this year's focus has been grades 3rd through 5th grade. And so our interventionists at those 3 schools are supporting students in those grades with intensive support. Not only do my core content specialists support students, they also support teachers by providing professional development And really teachers and principals, when we met with them during performance management this year, asked for more support around how to implement effectively small group instruction, how to make sure that they can get around to every student, how to intentionally plan. And so my core content specialists support teachers with not only small group instruction, but having that pedagogical content knowledge so that they're able to transfer the information to students. In my secondary mathematics department, I'm going to start with the middle school. We were very excited this spring to adopt a new resource, Envision Common Core 6 through 8. This is our first year of implementation out of 3. And again, we have coaching support with experts from the company that come in on a regular basis, at least twice a month, to train teachers, model with teachers, and support them in facilitating PLCs. We also, with those coaches, receive support for principal as well as myself in helping with curriculum decisions around pacing, priority standards, and best ways to support throughout the year. Our next training session is happening this summer. We will have 5 days where those 6 through 8 teachers, including the resource room teachers, will be training and learning the resource even deeper to finish up our first year. When we met in our PLCs, we did have discussion about the tools that we're already using for intervention. Our Envision resource is a very comprehensive resource, and so teachers are very excited to take a look at how Envision intervention resources can work along with iReady and support students at all different levels. We do have an intervention teacher at the middle school level. He uses the continues to use the Agile Accelerator resource to supplement instruction for our Tier 3 students who are put in his classroom based on certain criteria. And he's working along with core classroom teachers to not only help students with the skills that they need that are at different grade levels, but to also accelerate them so we can move students to proficiency faster. In secondary mathematics at the high school level, we continue to use the Big Ideas AGA resource for 9 through 12. Teachers have already started vetting and taking a look at recommendations for new resources, and we continue on with our piloting process and adoption process, and we will continue into the fall with that. We use the Blitzer resource for our pre-calculus classes. With our intervention for the high school level, teachers are responsible for providing intervention in the classroom. And so they use the built-in interventions that come from the core resource. And then our core teachers also utilize at the 9th grade level our iReady personalized instruction to support students in 9th grade this year. The intervention teachers at the high school level use the Agile Mind Intensified Algebra resource for students in need of intensive support. There's also selection criteria for these courses by taking a look at data, teacher recommendation to make sure that the students that need this support are placed in the proper classroom. Teachers continue to receive support from a coach that's an expert with the company with implementation and resources. And I'll stop for questions at this time.
Questions? Agile Mind.
Yes.
How long have we been using that?
This is our second year.
Second year?
Mhm.
Okay, that was, okay. And then the iReady, we did approve to go from 10 through 12, right?
It's up to 9th
Up
grade.
to 9?
9th grade.
Mhm.
It
That's
doesn't
the
go-
max. That's where iReady is at now. They are developing, I believe, and Jennifer could probably speak more to that than I can.
Developing high school content, but it's not ready yet. So once it's ready, we can look at it, then we probably would like to move with that.
Okay, all right, awesome, thank you.
That's it.
No, that was it. That was it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now I'd like to bring up Ms. Tanya Dixon to talk about our attendance data.
Thank you, Stacy Jackson. Okay, I'm finished crying now, so thank you guys, and this is why I'm passionate about the transportation because it affects our attendance percentages. So this is the district percentages for January, February, and March. So in January, we were at 85, February 86, and in March 85. So that's pretty good.
And our goal was 90.
Yes. So we have a secondary attendance agent who's responsible for the middle school and high school attendance. And just this year, from September through the end of March, they've had 70 students come meet in, and the meet-ins are when they come together, the students that have attendance issues. Once they return back to school for a certain amount of days, they did get to go to a room and play Nintendo, whatever those games, you know.
Right, not Nintendo.
That's exciting for them.
She took us way back.
It's not
She
Nintendo,
went way back.
PlayStation. I know, I'm telling my age. I need to, don't tell my kids I said Nintendo. Because I think they have a PlayStation in the basement. Is it
Xbox.
PlayStation? Yes, that's what it is. We even have one at home. I didn't tell my age, okay. So she's also conducted 153 home visits. She's made contacts with 471 students via phone and email, and 45 text messages. That's our middle school and high school. Our goals for the coming months? Yeah, okay, it's coming. Like superintendent said, that we want to get at 90%. So we are so close to doing that. So everyone that's part of that, because we're one big happy family when it comes to that, give yourselves a pat on the back. We're looking to hire a central office elementary and middle school agent so that a high school agent could be solely with the high school. She does such a good job, but now she's dividing herself. So if you know of anyone, this is a plug. Your camera high. We need a middle school and an elementary school attendance agent, please. And we also, our goal is to continue to partner with good people like Superintendent Concentric. They're awesome. They've taught our attendance agents the one that's still with us now, how to connect with our families during home visits and how to use an app. So we're looking for more partners like that to help increase our attendance percentages and build relationships with our students and families. And I think that's what the mentoring program is going to do. So we're excited. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes.
Girls. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm not looking for you to give me these numbers. I just want to know if you know anything off the top of your head as it pertains to kids who have severe attendance issues, have been charged through the circuit court with truancy.
Okay, I don't know those numbers, but I do know that a few have come through. I even had to sit, thank you to Attorney Seegers that prepped me on that through one of the cases.
That actually have gone. So, but it's obvious it's a minimum amount, you would say?
Yes.
Good. That's what I want to hear. With my history, you know that.
Yes.
And I need to know where we are as far as the amount of kids who have actually.
Did the courts do anything?
Did the courts, well.
They excused me before they got to that part, but.
I know that answer. I'm just saying how many kids were actually sent in for truancy.
I can find out and tell you.
Just give me a round. I don't need data. I don't want you to, I just need to know where we are.
No problem.
Because the history is, me being from here and working at the courts, all I heard was, what's going on in Pontiac? But I don't hear that anymore.
It's reduced, but I can tell you. I'll let you know.
All right. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you. Sue? Oh, sorry, Trustee Anna.
I just wanted to say I'm happy to see that the efforts of the attendance agent is working. And I can tell that it's more about relationship because I see that she's only done 45 texts, and whereas all the other ones, she had to have made some type of personal connection with the parents. And I think that is most important because that personal connection is a lot more effective than just sending text messages. So I'm happy to see that.
Yes. And with the students, like Ms. Thornton will go to their classroom to say, you said you're coming, oh good, you're here. If they're tardy, she's on them with that. She's at the door clapping them in when they return. So she's really good about that. So we need 2 more. What's to say? Okay. Thank you. And
Trustee
now.
I'm sorry, Trustee Crowe.
Oh, sorry.
And what do you do about the parents that pick up their kids maybe 10, 15 minutes early every day and they're missing that
We
valuable
document
class?
it. We document that. There is an attendance code that says left early, and we document it, but there's really nothing that we could actually do unless superintendent or someone tells us to put in a policy in regards to that, but unfortunately.
Because I was a former attendance specialist and that was one of the problems that I had We had certain parents that had to be at work at certain times and this, that, and the other. And they didn't care. They just basically brought their kids just to, at their convenience and stuff. And there should be certain things, in place for that. Because if you take 10 minutes out a day and you do it, multiply it times 50 times, then you're looking at, a significant amount of time that the kids are missing in class.
Right. So that probably occurs more in elementary than it would in any other. So it's just that developing relationship again with those parents and talking to them and discouraging that kind of behavior.
Good. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Williams. You know, she could sing. Maybe she'll sing before she stops.
Good evening, President Garrett.
Good evening, ma'am.
Trustees, Superintendent Williams, staff, and administrators, community. I'm Yvette Williams, and I'm presenting the PSD suspension data. This is our 5-year suspension trend. If you see in 2018-19 school year, that's when we were in person, and the 2019 and 20 in person. 2020 was our virtual, and then 2021-22 was virtual in the beginning, and then we went to in person. And then 2022-23 is in person. So if you look at the difference for this year compared to the other 2 years at the beginning with in person, we are down 300, at least almost 400 suspensions from the 2018-19 school year and almost 500 from the 2019-2020 school year. So we are definitely working towards decreasing our suspension rates over the years. Our expulsion rate, as I shared with the in-person and virtual comparison, in 2022-23, we're very much in comparison to the 2019-20 school year. For our multi-tiered support framework, as Dr. Leverett mentioned earlier, we have 3 tiers. The tier 1, 80 to 90% of our students should fall within that range. That's for all students, where teachers are supporting students with universal instruction and interventions. At the tier 2 level is where we have targeted small group instruction that happens in the classroom, starting with teachers, and could also be assisted with our academic and behavior interventionists. At tier 3, that is more intensive support, where students may need individual support, and that number should be our smallest number of students. And those students are normally seen 3 to 5 days a week from your behavior intervention, your general ed social workers and your academic interventionists. So here you've already seen that we have multiple MTSS initiatives, our SSN meetings and teams and 504 teams, and sometimes our PBIS teams are combined as one. And one of the things I want to lift is we are really focusing right now on our positive behavior intervention system and piloting at the middle school level, doing a lot of training around trauma and social justice with our instructional staff. Right now with the middle school, and we've done a tiered fidelity inventory with PBIS at the middle school, and getting ready to do one at Harrington, and started some training with staff at Harrington to get them ready for next school year. We have a district-wide initiative for all schools to have created a 3 to 5 behavioral expectations for their building. And so we're in the process, thank you, Heidi, for creating posters to post those 3 to 5 behavioral expectations for every building, have them posted throughout the buildings for students to see how they are expected to behave in the classroom, in the hallways, in the bathrooms, on the bus, and those will be posted throughout every building. And just to reiterate what Stacy and Felicia have already shared with you regarding mathematics and ELA interventions, at the tier 1 level, they're continuing to support their teachers with small group and sometimes with some support from their intervention specialists. And they've shared details regarding what resources they're using, especially at the tier 3 level with Number World and Forefront assessments for mathematics, and LLI at Rogers and Owen for tier 3 for reading assessments at the elementary level. At the middle school level, they're still using iReady assessments like they are at the elementary level for tier 1 to support with personalized instruction. And they are also at tier 2 using Agile Minds and AARI for ELA. Tier 3 intervention support from the math interventionist, as well as a plan. They're developing a plan for AARI at ITA, and they're doing the intervention plan at PMS as well. High school, same at Tier 1, using iReady at the 9th grade level. And then at the 10th through 12th grade level, they're developing an intervention plan for the high school core courses for next school year. They're also doing at the Tier 2 levels, intervention teachers using the Algebra Success resource, as well as Agile Mind and Intensified Algebra. We're at, for ELA, Tier 2 and 3, AARI teacher intervention is occurring. And that's it for my presentation. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I will now turn it over to Dr. Leverett.
Thank you, Yvette, and we thank you, Board Superintendent and community members. I know that we went over a little bit, but I do want to share with everyone that this is a comprehensive approach to student learning and supporting the whole child. And we have to take this information, approach it systemically, remove barriers so that we can get our kids to where we want them to be academically. And I'm confident that we are headed in the right direction. This is a lot of heavy lifting, but we are equipped to do this work. So know that. But I have to say that my staff, along with the principals and the relationships that we have with our employees throughout the district, this is how we're able to get this work done. So we're looking at the big picture, we're looking at it systemically, but we're breaking this down and we're really working together as a team to meet the needs of our students. So thank you for the opportunity.
Questions, comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move down to the bus EV chargers. Mr. Holcomb will be presenting. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Yes, I will turn it over to Mr. Holcomb.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, Mr. President, trustees, community. Back in late last summer, we had applied for and were awarded a rebate from the EPA for 25 electric buses and the infrastructure. In January, we changed our transportation provider, which required us to resubmit our application to the EPA. And we just heard back from them last Wednesday on the approval of that transfer. It changed the number of the types of vehicles that were going in. Each transportation company has different inventory of buses. So we had to gather VIN numbers and average daily routes and gas usage and all of those kind of fun numbers. So it took them a while to sift through it, but they did approve it. We received it on Wednesday. The deadline for us to provide purchase orders to the EPA is April 28th. Now we've submitted an extension request. We haven't heard back from them. So we're trying to move forward with what we can, hence this request that I'm going to read you now. The school district of the city of Pontiac was awarded a rebate from the EPA Clean School Bus Program for 25 electric buses and infrastructure in the fall of 2022 in the amount of $9,875,000. Of that money, $500,000 is earmarked for the charging infrastructure. Their formula is $20,000 per bus. 25 buses times 20 gives us $500,000. I've met with many companies and reviewed their offerings for chargers, such as Rhombus, ChargePoint, Ford Pro Charging, Flow Networks, and InCharge, to name a few. In an effort to best use the resources available to the district, I've also submitted a request for rebates to our electricity provider, DTE, under the auspices of their Charging Forward eFleets program. This program provides rebates to companies building out electric vehicle fleets, and our expectation is to receive $348,000 from this program to help cover the cost of the infrastructure build-out. We've already received rebates from DTE for the existing 10 charges we have throughout the district. This request is for the electric charging stations and software that will be needed for charging the buses at the Fell Center Transportation Depot that will be built out over the coming months. These particular chargers are manufactured here in Michigan, in the city of Dearborn, by a company called Rhombus, which was just recently purchased by Borg Warner. Heidi and I went in December to visit their facility. Their R&D facility is out in California, but they actually manufacture and make the products here in Michigan. So one of the caveats is keeping our money, where we live as much as possible. I lost my place here. These also give us the ability to upgrade them in the future with vehicle to grid, or V2G technology, which will allow us to sell back our unused power to our utility provider when they have that capacity, which is projected to be in the next 2 to 3 years. They're not built out quite yet for that. We have submitted an interconnect agreement with DTE to get the ball rolling on that, though. The software and control system, along with the chargers, are purchased as a bundle through a provider called EV Connect, which is one of the approved network providers authorized by DTE's eFleet program. This system is also available to us by utilizing the Sourcewell Cooperative. There will be 16 DCFC, which stands for Direct Current Fast Charging, 60 kilowatt charging stations, with 7 of those having dual charging capacities. So we have one unit has 2 whips so it can charge 2 buses at the same time. There will also be 2 stations that are 125 kilowatt, which will allow for very fast charging. The expectation on that is from 0 to full, they'll be able to charge a bus in 2.5 hours.
Wow.
This configuration was based on the number of buses that we will receive and the routes that they will cover, the time that they dwell in the yard or the depot, and the electric capacity we will have from DTE, which at this point it's a secondary service, so they cover all of the costs of the transformers, and it's very important to keep us under that.
Wait, 1 second. Hold on. Who covered the cost of the transformers?
DTE does for secondary service.
Pay a higher premium, but they own it. If it ever fails, they fix it. Most of our schools are that way, other than the next school.
Don't. I just asked the question. We're gonna play above board right here. We got company. I'm just DTE transformers.
Yes.
Okay.
The funding source is a combination of the EPA Clean School Bus funding from the rebate we received from them and the DTE e-fleets rebates using the discount through the Sourcewell Cooperative, and the contract number is listed there in the bear. So it is the recommendation of the administration upon receipt of rebate authorization from DTE and the EPA that the Board of Education approve the purchase of EV charging control, dispenser, and software from Borg Warner in the amount of $554,000.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board? Gross.
Thank you. This is wow. This is great that we're able to do this. One of the issues, though, I was able to attend a session in Oakland schools pertaining to our future transportation and electric vehicles. One of the concerns that a lot of districts have is their routing as it pertains to some are hilly, and how difficult it is to keep buses charged. We're good because we're flat. But I want to make sure, or just even ask the question, we have something in place as it pertains to recharging the buses if they're out on routes.
So the buses will come back. The 125 kilowatt chargers are for the long routes. We have our longest route is 104 miles through the course of the day.
Yes.
The standard bus, the expectation is 125 miles that it'll last through the day without recharging at all. So they come back midday, charge up, fill up the batteries again, and then they go out and about.
And the reason I ask that is that I want to make sure that we continue to monitor that, because, there's, and I'm not saying it will happen. I'm hoping it doesn't. There'd be possible sabotaging where I'm out there, I'm not charging, I'm not following the rules, and then we are stuck out there with buses that we have to tow because the lack of or human error. So we want to make sure that we continue to monitor that, because That's one of the things that we talked about, is to ensure these buses stay charged to prevent any type of issues out on the routes. And that was the biggest concern that I heard in the room.
Right, and that's where the software component comes into play. We can look
Absolutely.
at utilization. We can preheat buses using the software before bus drivers get in there in the winter months, so that they're firing up their heaters while plugged in instead of off of battery. So there's a lot of little tricks that extend that life, as well as the buses all have regenerative braking, which, as you take your foot off the gas, it uses the friction within the braking system to charge the batteries as well. So as you're driving, you're getting minimal amounts. I'm not gonna say it's a huge amount of charging from that as well.
And lastly, they were very excited about us being part of this and us being the first ones. And they were extremely happy with you. All the people that was sitting in the diocese, and they talked about Pontiac getting the first or the largest and the only one in Oakland County and possibly the state, correct?
There were other ones throughout the state. We're the largest.
We're the largest one in the state, and they were very excited, and they talked very well about us, but they were extremely happy being able to work with you, Bill, and you're teaching them some stuff too that they and DTE was there too, and they was extremely happy with Pontiac. So I want to put that out there and publicly tell you that while you're here.
Thank you.
So thank you. Job well done.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. All right. Thank you. We're going to move down to action item. Need a motion on the floor to accept the bus EV chargers recommendation from administration.
So moved. Support.
It's moved by Vice President Bowman, supported by Trustee Hannah. Oh, Trustee David Smith. Good evening. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call, please.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
VP Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Treasurer David Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
Sir, that passed 7-0.
All right. Thank you. Well, we'll move on now. We're going to move down to regular working agenda items from the board. We don't have any at the time, so we're going to go down to General Counsel of Human Resources, PAE mid-year evaluation ratings. Yolanda Kellum, Superintendent of HR, Assistant Superintendent of HR, Yolanda Kellum will be the presenter. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. At this time, Mrs. Callum will present our annual mid-year evaluation rating update.
Good evening, Superintendent Williams, President Garrett, trustees, staff, and community. This is our annual mid-year evaluation ratings that I submit to the board every year. So the first page is just showing you the actual domains. There's 5 domains, and you'll see in each section the domains that the teachers are evaluated on. So these just show you the domains that they are evaluated on each year. And then the next page will be the actual tool that's used for the teachers. And this is what the tool looks like. Each principal has, and then where it has highly effective, then you show the number of points that they will receive, effective rating, minimally effective, and effective and ineffective. That's how they'll be evaluated. The next page just talks about the 22-23 teacher performance evaluation school year based on school reform law 2009, PA 205, which is Public Act 205, Section 1249. And for the mid-year, January through March, principal's first observations for all PA members to be submitted to Human Resources Office by January 13, 2023. The second formal observation for probationary teacher PEA members by March 3rd of 2023. Any teachers that will be put on a plan of assistance developed as needed with Human Resources. At least one conference should be held by mid-year as needed. And the mid-year progress report shall be aligned with the PEA's members' IPGP, individual professional growth plan as needed per plan of assistance. And that's the deadlines that I just showed you. This page just talks about the revised School Code Act 451 of 1976, 380.1249, Section 2, the performance evaluation system shall provide that if a teacher is rated as highly effective on 3 consecutive annual year-end evaluations, the school district, immediate school district, or public school academy may choose to conduct a year-end evaluation biannually instead of annually. However, if a teacher is not rated as highly effective on one of these biannual year-end evaluations, the teacher shall again be provided with annual year-end evaluations. So the message that's sent out to highly effective teachers, for tenured teachers, congratulations, based on your current status as highly effective for 3 consecutive years, which will include 2021 through 2023, you will not be evaluated for the 22-23 school year, and the information will be reflected in the next section. So for the 22-23 mid-year evaluation, we had a total of 189 teachers, a total of 167 that were evaluated, senior teachers that were highly effective, which means they have been highly effective for 3 straight years, 21 through 23, with no evaluation for this school year, no evaluation until 2024. A total was 22. So we had 22 highly effective tenure teachers that had 3 years of highly effective. And then this slide just shows us the scale of how many highly effective. So within the number of the highly effective for the 52, 22 of those teachers were highly effective, which shows the rating for 30 teachers that were rated, got an evaluation. We had 110 that were effective. Minimally effective, we had 4, one ineffective, and we have 5 plans of assistance, which was the minimally effective and the ineffective person, which for a total of 5. And then we have 4 teachers on a leave of absence, which they have not been evaluated, but they will be if they report back within 30 days before the end of the school year. And so our notes, out of the 52 highly effective teachers, 30 teachers were evaluated this year and 22 were not evaluated due to their tenure status. The leave of absence, if any member is on leave of absence and unable to participate in a conference or observation, the meeting must be scheduled within 30 days of returning to work. Minimally effective teachers are automatically placed on a plan of assistance. PEA counselors, school social workers, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and speech language pathologists will be evaluated at the end of the school year. Long-term substitute teachers are not reflected in this report. Evaluations for these individuals will be presented with the ISS and EduStaff 22-23 contract renewals. So you'll receive that information when I submit the contracts for renewal. There'll be an evaluation behind the contract. That's the end of my report. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Terry, Trustee Terry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My first question was in regards to the first 2 slides, where you had the domain, and then you also have the evaluation sheet.
Yes.
The template that was used. I just noticed, and I had a question. For some of the domains, they list maybe, say for example, the first one. You show 3 there, but then when you go to the evaluation sheet, it shows a total of 7. Does that mean there's other options out there that can be added to that domain?
Can you tell me which one you're talking about?
The planning and preparation, the purple one?
Yes.
Okay. So it shows 3, you got use of methods, materials, time, and preparation, preparing lessons. When we go to the evaluation sheet, it shows 7 categories though.
You can add.
You cannot add?
You can. Yes, if the principal deems that teacher needs to work on an additional under that would fall under that domain, you can add to it. It has to be agreed upon with the teacher.
So are those pre-made already, or there's already?
It's if a teacher thinks that if a principal thinks that a teacher needs to, for example, work on classroom management with organization, they can add that domain into that category. So it can be personalized.
So what is this, just the general?
Yes. So the first one that you saw, the color coded one?
Yeah, it's just general.
Just as generalized, yes.
I wouldn't use general. That is the one that we use for the Charlotte Danielson framework. Those are required.
So all of these are required.
That's what the state, yes, that's what the state has deemed as the domains that we must evaluate. You can add on to those. We have the autonomy to add on if there is a need that we see a gap or need additional support for that teacher, and the teacher would need to agree and sign off on it.
Okay. Okay. And then my second one I had, and it's just maybe me personally, is there a breakdown as far as the teachers and specific school or grades that are teaching specifically, I guess, in regards to the highly effective? So I guess I want to see exactly location wise or grades.
You want to see the out of the 22?
Out of the breakdown, is it
Yeah.
22 or the 52? Which one is
So you would like to see the 22 tenure teachers that receive highly effective for the last 3 years, and then you want to see the other 30 teachers that receive highly effective.
Okay.
For the total of 52, you want to see which schools those represent?
Yes.
I can get you that information, Superintendent.
Okay.
And then I want my last question. Go ahead.
Question duly noted. Go ahead.
You good?
Yeah, you're good. Question duly noted.
Okay, it was just my next and I think probably my last question. These evaluations are not reflective of the grades and the student reports and attendance and all this other stuff that we just seen, right?
No.
Now, this isn't impacted by any of those.
So the attendance data is a part of the teacher's evaluation.
Teacher attendance, not student.
Teacher attendance, I'm sorry, teacher attendance?
But
No.
this isn't a reflective of any of the student information that we just seen in the previous slides before, as far as the performances and everything else. That has nothing to do with this evaluation.
So are you asking me about the attendance for the students?
Nope. I'm talking about, say, for example, we have total, I guess, 189. You had 167 evaluated. You got 122 total. So when we go to the color bar chart, it shows that we have an effective of 110 teachers.
Yes.
Okay. I guess, is this also reflected in the progress that we're seeing with the school, of the students individually?
So they have a portion of the evaluation that is
Or is there any
a formula.
correlation, I guess you want to say?
Yeah, there's a formula that we use, and it's part of my evaluation as well. And they're actually discussing in legislation to remove this, where they have to, their rating has a portion of the evaluation, how many students have met their growth targets. So when you saw the growth targets in our evaluation for our local assessment, it is a percentage of that school and that teacher that equates into a formula that is part of their evaluation for growth. How many students have the teacher moved regarding growth?
Okay.
And that's part of my evaluation as well. Side note, legislation is discussing evaluation, and that may be removed in the future, but they are discussing that.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Trustee Hannah.
Thank you. One of the things, or a couple of the things that we have been discussing at the conferences we had attended is about hearing more from our students, hearing their voices. And they made some suggestions of maybe even inviting some students to be a part of the board. And then they also had mentioned how sometimes that students often have a part in the assessment for our teachers. So they would ask the students to evaluate their teachers. Do we do that here?
No.
No.
Okay.
We do have student voice. I met with all of the groups just recently, and that included our middle school and high school students, but we have never asked students to evaluate teachers. We do provide surveys, perceptional surveys, and they ask, how do you feel? Do you feel a sense of belonging from your teacher? Do you feel like your teacher responds? But we don't particularly deem it where it's one particular teacher and they evaluate the teacher.
That's a good question. That was a good question. Ooh, that would start something right
Oh,
there.
yes, that would be. I'm surprised that's being done anywhere.
You create the evaluating tool for them to check off. What do you think?
Nah, I don't know, Sue. I'm just gonna put you out there. I'm gonna put, not you, Sue. I'm just simply saying, we in a different movement, different era, different time. I'm just saying nothing's off the table at this point. That's interesting, though. I mean, I know how we evaluate my fourth grade teacher. I'm just saying it's gonna be slighted. I mean, we know it's gonna be slighted. Let's not act like it's gonna be legitimate. You know what I mean? Like some kids just, they're still in that state. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't like Mr. Garrett, right? So if I get to evaluate you in person, and your pay is based upon a percentage of me evaluating, and I know that, I mean, mark it down, Mr. Garrett, you out of there. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna get that 400% increase at the end of the year. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. That is a good question. We're gonna be in trouble about that one. Looking forward to them comments. We're gonna move. We're gonna
rate your prof.
Yeah.
Did you have that?
Yeah. You already know how I went down at OU.
Yes.
Okay. Operations and maintenance. Be quiet, Marcus. Mr. Trustee Terry. Discussion items. NCH Kim Search blanket PO. Mr. England. Superintendent, the meeting's yours. Okay.
Mr. England.
Good evening, community board members and superintendent. We have 3 vendors that are part of our annual renewals that we have tonight for discussion and action. Each one of these vendors is has an evaluation sheet that's attached in the back. All 3 of them have performed very well. The first one is ChemSearch, which is very important to us. One of the first things when I got here years ago, we found we had excessive amounts of chemicals, some of the boiler descalers and things left over from year to year. ChemSearch, which is a person, Bob Savvy, is on site. He does chemical testing, pH balances, and one of the things that we're doing is spending hundreds of millions of dollars. So this $20,000 and this person that actually is part of this team has been very instrumental in not only teaching our lead people, our maintenance people how to put the right amount of chemicals, he's constantly monitoring it. And as I mentioned, we are spending heavily in the new boiler systems. These are totally different than what we have. Most of our older boilers were steam boilers. All these new boilers are high efficiency condensing boilers which run on hot water. So the treatment, the chemicals that we put in them is very, very relevant to their longevity. So the district does this on-site testing, monitor, and advisement with the amount of chemicals through, like I mentioned, Bob Savvy and ChemSearch. So we are asking for this renewal to not exceed $25,000. But this is, like I mentioned, is a very valuable part of our day-to-day operations. So with that said, we're asking to not exceed $25,000 to July 1st of 2023 through June 30th of 2024 for ChemSearch.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the board? We can move to the next. Thank you.
The second is Nelco Supply. This is something that both Marvin and Tiffany have a lot of hands on. We have, Nelco is a local provider for hand soap, sanitizer, paper towel, toilet paper, etc., consumables as we would call it. Previously received pricing of these supplies, and Nelco was one of the cheapest, and they're also a local Pontiac dealer. As a matter of fact, Tiffany always has a pulse on this. Both her and Marvin have met with some people that were referred from MSBO in the last conference they attended, and we feel that we're still getting really good pricing and the products that we want. So it is the recommendation of the administration that the Pontiac Board of Education approve the blanket purchase order for Nelco Supply in the amount not to exceed $150,000 for consumables and not to exceed the amount of $20,000 for chemicals. Again, some of our chemicals for our in-house program are still bought for the high school and the middle school through us. The other contractors that are subcontractors, they purchase their own chemicals, and that's part of the contract. So,
the chemicals that we use in the admin building, that's through us?
yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we learned quite a bit today, and I think we're going to be making a few changes. Marvin Tiff had a conference with, I forget the company, but it was very informative today about some of the things and some of the mixing equipment. So we are looking at some of that.
Okay. I just want to personally say it works.
Yeah.
I don't tell you
Dominique
how I
does
know
a
it
great
works. I'm just saying it works.
The employee that we have here is very good also. Any other questions on this particular vendor?
No. Okay. Approval. I'm sorry. Going to the next. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. The next is Premier Moving. This is one of our moving companies that has been helping us extensively with the bond. This is also a company that we use at the end of the year when we're discarding items that are no longer in use. Premier Relocations is part of a cooperative, an E&I cooperative, and they're under contract with this contract number CNR 01257. But the district is using these moving services for the 23 and 24 school year, and in district moves when we have teachers relocate, et cetera, throughout the year. It also has been used quite a bit in the bond. And we would like to renew this. It is the recommendation of the administration of the Board of Education to approve the blanket purchase order for Premier Moving Services not to exceed $70,000 effective July 1st, 2023 until June 30th, 2024.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Trustee Rose.
Most of these companies or all these things that we're looking at approving is paid through the
general fund.
Okay. Even Premier,
Premier, when
they've been working with us through the bond?
Premier, when they do bond work, is charged off
Through the bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
The moving company, Premier, how much have they received through the bond and through this contract?
Through this contract, Jim, do you know how much in Series 1? I know we were just working on that.
Can we get that back to you, President?
I think we are going to have that at the board retreat. I believe that's one of the items, but
yeah,
it's substantial.
Yes. Can we, their contract is not up, well, this is not up until June 30th. I did have some questions, but it was relatable to the bond in this particular company. I feel comfortable enough at this time. Can we table this moving?
That's fine, until we give you the information. You want to know how much we have spent with the bond dollars for Premier?
Yes, but then also that whole moving piece, next step as it relates going into next school year. Like there's a question around the whole move itself. And so, I mean, we can talk about it in facilities, we put it in committee, or we can talk about it at our next board governance meeting. We didn't have a chance to kind of tackle it before it came before us this particular point in time. I just want to table it so I can get a few more other questions that were asked around it out as a whole. So, Nita, are you done with the presentation?
Yes, sir. And then just, to note, this is really for general fund.
Okay.
We could use something different in the bond. This would not tie us to that obligations.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. No, that's fine. All right. Thank you. Need a motion on the floor to approve the approval of the NCH Chem Search Blanket PO.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Bowman, supported by Trustee Gross. And it's not so much a blanket PO. We have a threshold of $25,000. So it's not like we're giving them, give us all your chemicals for how much you want to charge us. So any questions, comments, or concerns to that motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
VP Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
And I'm voting yes, sir. That passed 7-0 for the NCH Chem Search.
All right, thank you. Need a motion on the floor for approval of the Nelco Supply Company for consumables and chemicals.
Support.
Moved by trustee Hannah,
Support.
supported by trustee Gross. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
VP Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Treasurer David Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes, and trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Sir, that passed 7-0.
All right, thank you. Need a motion on the floor to table the approval of the premier relocation of the district-wide moving services and moving into the Finance and Facilities Committee.
So moved.
So moved by Vice President Bowman, supported by trustee Gross. Questions, comments, concerns about the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
VP Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Treasurer David Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes, trustee Hannah,
Yes.
and trustee Terry.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, that, to table that item has been moved.
Okay.
7-0.
All right, thank you. And Soup, I will get with you and Facilities Chair too for that discussion. All right, we're gonna move down to communications, petitions, and delegations. Madam VP, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. We have one. Your request to address the Pontiac Board of Education for 3 minutes will be granted with your commitment that all comments will be delivered with courtesy and civility. Failure to do so will result in forfeiture of your allotted time. Mr. Thomas Lawrence.
Catching up with you, old boy, catching up with you, man.
60, man. Hey, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Thomas Lawrence, and I'm here actually from Oakland Forward. We've been at a couple of school board meetings. Actually, we're going to school board meetings all over Oakland County. And what we're doing is we're sitting in all the school board meetings and kind of doing an evaluation of how things are going so we can come back to Pontiac as well and just kind of share some ideas and some comparisons on what's working and some of the ideas that are working in some of the different school districts that are impressive, as well as here in Pontiac. Because to be honest with you, what I heard tonight, just sitting there, I was very impressed because I had a chip on my shoulder. And Gil, good friend, me and him, we respect each other, but sometimes we let each other know, okay, we're gonna work it like this, and we're gonna see what we can do, to keep it going and make the progress that's needed for the students in the school district. So I just say all that to say this evening, I had to tip my hat off to everybody out here who's working, all the trustees, the superintendent, and I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. Keep up the good work, and some of the things that we're looking at to do with Oakland Forward is to be more involved in the community. We're actually doing parent surveys out here in the community to get some ideas of what they're concerned about in the school district, as well as in the community. And then what we're doing is we're going to the state level. We've been going up to Lansing. We'll be going up there again 2 times this month. And we're just dealing with all the situations that are going on in the community, as well as in the school district, even with the gun control laws and things of that nature and the budgets. So I'm gonna hand you out some information on the education justice meeting that we're holding next week with State Rep Brenda Carter. And it'll be April 17 at 6 p.m. at Pontiac City Hall. And hopefully we can get as many people out to this meeting as possible, because it's very important for us to discuss the students' education and get involved in their learning. And that's pretty much what I was here for this evening. And also I'm gonna give you some information on Oakland Forward itself, our very organization, so that you guys will be aware of what we're doing in the community. And if you have any questions or anything, of course, again, Gil and Kevin and Troy, they know me personally very well, so I'm quite sure they'll, do correspondence with us. We meet at other different occasions, so we talk. So that's all I had this evening. So just keep up the good work. I appreciate it. I can take out the good report to Kermit Williams now, because they're in Washington, D.C. right now doing funding sources. So thank you very much for the time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
My former college roommate.
We're gonna move. What in the world? No.
Yes, MSU, right there.
This man,
That's my college roommate.
yeah, I forever want to bring up that old green and white.
Hey, we all, hey, man.
I hung out with him.
We're gonna move down to communications and petitions and delegations. What we just did, I'm sorry, board comments and announcements. I don't know. I'm so used to, maybe that was just, I don't know, what just happened. Sometimes things overwhelm me. It just messed me right on up, didn't it?
Messed you up.
But I think Oakland Forward and just the things that they're just doing around Oakland County, period. When you see people being active in your community, those are the resources that I can count on, because I know that they're there and I see what they do. So I appreciate the work that you're doing throughout Oakland County. So board comments and announcements. We're going to start with Trustee Kraft. Good evening, sir.
Somehow I knew it was me, but good evening, everybody.
It was that teacher I gave you.
Right, he gave it to me. First of all, I'd like to again congratulate our basketball team from the Kennedy Center, and on their state championships and on the continuing state championships. And I'm impressed with the scores that was going on. Just what I heard overall meeting today. And I like to go back about a week ago. We went to Orlando, our trip to Orlando. I actually, I thought I was going just to have a fun and do all this kind of stuff, but I actually learned something, and I brought something back for our students. And I think it's going to make me a better board person. And thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, sir. Trustee Terry.
Once again, want to say congratulations to our Pontiac Special Olympics team on their championship and winning that gold medal again with 7 years, you said? Mm-hmm. 7 years. So congratulations and keep up the good work to that. I also want to say congratulations to our staff that received the recognition awards today. So congratulations, keep up the good work, and always looking forward to that. And then I want to say thanks to all of our staff that presented reports today. Good information. And as always, I'm looking forward for that next report that reflects our continued growth as we continue to push Pontiac forward. And then on a side note, I just want to say congratulations to our robotics team. I did receive information about them that they are now headed to nationals. I want to say, so congratulations to them, and I want to wish them well. And look, bring home that gold as well. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Trustee Hannah. Good evening, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you caught me off guard. Ditto to everything that they said. And I also want to acknowledge we received the Meridian Award of Excellence. So I want to say congratulations also for the outstanding work that we're doing with this was for our comprehensive financial strategic plan. So just wanted to acknowledge that there are lots of great things that are happening within the Pontiac School District, and we are proud of everyone that plays a part in that. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Shall we see anyone look at it? Trustee David Smith, good evening.
Good evening. Great meeting again. I just wanted to say again, congratulations to our Special Olympics basketball champions. Also, congratulations to Ms. Dixon and Ms. Heidi. Thanks again for all the work you do. I want to thank all our teachers and staff, as we have so many teachers and staffs and principals and our district, period. Our superintendent does things that our community don't know that they do. They do it behind the scenes. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those people who we don't know that's doing what they're doing. And also I wanted to thank Miss Nikki and the Tea and Talk Book Club last year for March's reading. They donated some books for me to give to our preschool students, along with some special gifts to our teachers and a teacher's assistants. And I just wanted to thank her tonight for that. And I would like for the parents to also continue to read to your kids, not just in March, but just every night, just 30 minutes at least, read to your babies and have them to read back to you. It does make a huge difference. And just be safe, everybody, and have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Gross.
Thank you. Good evening, all again. I just want to quickly say how I enjoyed myself reading over at Owen Kennedy, how I had a good time. And it's my intent. I'm going to go back over there. I made some promises to some of the kids to come see them again. And Popcorn Friday, I'll be over there. So, wow. Yeah, I committed that. So I'll be there for Popcorn Friday.
Right.
And what a great time. What an excellent time. We had a working time in Orlando. And initially, I was going to say no board report, but I definitely want to commend this board, all of us together, and what we're learning. And to go somewhere outside of the city of Pontiac and to be recognized nationally says a lot about this district. And I want to personally recognize our president, who is also the president of CUBE, and the fantastic job that he did during the conference and what he had to do. He was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. That's the first time we got a chance to see him working and us sitting back. And man, we enjoyed that.
I sure did.
And he made us sit in the front row of everything. And so we did, but it was well worth it. And to see him on the video, and I'm hoping he's going to get that video. And it's a national video. To see him a part of that, and I'm proud of him and the work that he's doing. It's hard work, and we see it now. We were able to see that, and us to be recognized, for people to see Pontiac in Michigan, and not always say Detroit. Nothing against Detroit, okay, in a large area, we understand all that, but to recognize Pontiac and to say our name, Pontiac, and the Magma Award, was it?
Magna. Mm-hmm.
Magna, and Soup was shooting for it. 2 New York teams won. I was proud to see Buffalo because they are primarily African American there, and to see them win the 20,000 and over. They had different categories: 5,000 and under, 5,000 to 20, and 20 and over. So we're looking at that 5,000, and we made a commitment at that conference that our board president will be on that stage to accept that 5,000 and under award for Magna. And we're just proud of us receiving that award. And again, thank everyone that participated. And we were all well behaved, Superintendent. So we were all well behaved. And what an exciting time. And it was strictly, this time it was just mostly work. So, but it was excellent. And we're looking forward to Chicago, where our president will actually be in charge of running the CUBE meeting. And so we're going to support him there in September as well. So let's keep doing what we're doing here in this district. We're doing great things. And it's not only reflecting in this city, or not only in this county nor this state, but nationally we're being recognized. And that's where we need to be, and we should be. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Yes, sir.
And they act like I'm doing it by myself. That's not gonna happen. So, again, anytime when I first got to Pontiac and just kind of hearing the stories back in, I think it was like 96, 97, and we were talking about the history of Pontiac, right? And we had all the schools and things, people were coming here and getting different information and taking on to their districts and so forth, right? Like that's what's in my mind. That's what's always been in my mind. And people who came from, the southern states, they came from the East Coast. And to hear the conversations that I hear now on a national level, it's just, it's not new, but it's what we're supposed to be. And so that's how I treat it. That's how I handle it. I'm grateful for the 8 of us. I'm grateful for this administration. I'm grateful for the team that we have, that when they go fact checking behind my back as if I don't know that they're fact checking in the district. And then they got to come back to me in a meeting and say, oh, you are doing. And I'm like, you thought we wasn't. So when we were, and it's not sometimes, people, they misrepresent humility as passive or you're not who you say you are. And then when you begin to speak on it, they say, hey, you're cocky or you should be humble. I should be confident in the God-given ability that he's given us to do what we need to do. We did not just come out of this just overnight. And we're not about to let somebody just put us in a box and say that, oh, well, you should be a little humble or be grateful. And we are humble and we are grateful. But when somebody else gives you an expectation and then you say, I want to do something different, then that's not being arrogant. That's just saying my kids can meet the challenge. That's just saying I'm a professional. We have professionals in these particular departments and leading this school district, and they're professional and they're the top of their craft. And the data is not just a reflection on kids; it reflects to us of who we are. And so I don't look at it just one-sided to the point of just saying it's just a little bit over here, a little bit. It's just kids improving. Who taught the kids? Who gave the support to the teachers? Who's staying up all night to figure out how this is going to work? So it's our staff, it's everybody who comes in contact with our kids. And then our kids feel like they can do anything. And you see that throughout the community. You see the change, and that's what Pontiac is doing. And I want other districts that look like us to bask in that, to understand that if Pontiac can do what we're doing, you could do it in Philly, you can do it in Cali, you can do it in Texas, you can do it in New York, you can do it in Wisconsin. I want you to do it in Utah. I want you to do it in Alaska. And you will be surprised of the many districts that's just saying, oh, it is possible. You know, when your whole team's sitting on the front row and they're cheering from you, yeah, that does make me feel good, like I'm not alone, because them people don't know me. They just know what we represent. But when your whole team come and they say, okay, we're bringing the whole city with us, and it's folks who are born and raised here, these ain't, it's a different feeling. And so, yeah, when I sit amongst them board of directors and we're making some national decisions and them senators and all those people walking in the room, I stand in the room like you should be grateful that you're in the room with Pontiac, because we're going to show you the answer throughout the country. And if you stay long enough, you're going to see the change, and then you're going to feel like you're a champion too. That's just my mindset, and that's just who I am. And I have that because of the people that's around me and that's around this table. So God bless you, man. Everybody, had a wonderful Easter. We're moving into the spring. I do want to say this to our parents as we're moving into the summer and it's getting warm outside. You got to govern your children. You got to govern your children, and you have to be a parent. You have to know where your kids are at and what they're doing. And it's no longer where we get to sit back and I'm no longer want to sit back and say what our kids can do, because now it's my kids who were in the high schools when I came in. Now they're parents, right? It's their kids who I'm going to look at. So I'm telling you, I'm not retiring anytime soon. And as hard as I was on you as a student in the district, is as hard as I'm going to be on you as a parent when making sure that you know where your kids are at and what they're doing. And that's not, if school is going to be the place where we're going to have the daycare, then we're going to, you know how we do school rules, right? We're not going to change that. Pontiac is so beautiful, man. It is a great city, but we have the ability and the blessing to be a town where everybody knows everybody, right? And the least of us is just as important as the ones that say that we are the greatest. So I love this community, and I would never, ever back down from that from anyone. And the kids that's coming before us, they're going to be exposed to what they need to be exposed to make sure that they're successful, period. Right? So I know, Ms. Wright, I tried to beat you. No motion on the floor to adjourn, please.
So moved.
So moved by Trustee Gross, supported by Trustee David Smith. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kraft?
Yes, sir.
Trustee David Smith?
Yes.
President Garrett?
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah?
Yes.
And Trustee Terry?
Yes.
Sir, that passed 6-0. And your time is?
8:37.
Thank you, sir.
And that's with a closed session. So we was pushing. Yeah, that's with a closed session.
Thank you.